There's something really special about getting back into our regular rhythm after the holidays. I'm Alex, and I'm here with my friend Mark on this crisp Tuesday morning, January 7th.
Absolutely. And it feels great to be back in the studio. There's this peaceful energy that comes with new beginnings, isn't there? Welcome back to Blue Mountain Morning, everyone.
Yeah, and I've really missed our morning chats. For those just joining us, this is our second episode after the break where we take all that swirling news out there and turn it into something that actually makes sense.
And hopefully gives you a moment of calm to start your day. I've missed helping our listeners find those little moments of clarity in all the chaos.
So there's some pretty significant news coming out of Washington today. The big story is that Congress has just certified Trump's election win, which, is a pretty major milestone in this whole political process.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this is how smoothly it went compared to what some people were expecting. It's actually a perfect example of how our democratic institutions are designed to work, even during these particularly charged times.
And speaking of Washington, there's another really important story developing. Biden's been making some pretty bold moves in his final days, especially when it comes to environmental protection.
Right. He's actually been working on protecting some pretty significant areas of land and sea. It's kind of fascinating how presidents often use their final days in office to cement their legacy, especially on environmental issues.
You know what really strikes me about these two stories, Mark? They're both about these really fundamental American systems at work, our democratic process and our tradition of environmental conservation.
Absolutely. And what's particularly noteworthy is how these decisions will have lasting impacts. Like these environmental protections Biden's putting in place, they're not just short-term measures. They could affect generations of Americans.
I've been thinking about that too. These protected areas, they're not just lines on a map, right? They're actual places where families will be able to visit, where ecosystems can thrive.
Well, and you know what's really interesting? These kinds of environmental protections tend to have this ripple effect beyond just the immediate areas they protect. They often set precedents for future conservation efforts.
Mark, let's dig deeper into these environmental protection measures Biden's putting in place. I mean, we're talking about some really significant changes here, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. What's particularly fascinating is the sheer scope of it. We're seeing protections being extended to areas that have been under threat for years, and it's not just about preserving pretty landscapes, you know?
Right. It's about entire ecosystems, wildlife corridors, critical habitats.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is how these measures connect to existing protected areas. Like, these new designations create these natural bridges between already protected spaces, which is absolutely crucial for wildlife migration patterns.
I've been thinking about the economic impact too. There's always this debate about conservation versus development.
Yeah, and that's actually a really important point. Because what we're seeing from previous conservation efforts is that protected areas often become these incredible economic drivers for local communities. You get sustainable tourism, research opportunities, even new jobs in conservation management.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but once these protections are in place, they're pretty hard to undo, right?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, while future administrations could technically try to roll some of these back, historically it's been really difficult to undo environmental protections once they're established. It's kind of like, once people get used to having these protected spaces, they tend to fight pretty hard to keep them.
That makes me think about the long-term impact on climate policy, too. These protected areas essentially become like natural carbon sinks, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And that's actually one of the most significant aspects of this whole thing. These protected areas aren't just preserving landscapes. They're actively helping in our fight against climate change. The trees, the wetlands, the marine ecosystems, they're all capturing and storing carbon dioxide.
Speaking of conservation efforts, I've been really inspired lately by some of the local environmental initiatives popping up across the country. Have you heard about what they're doing in Vermont?
Oh yeah, the Community Forest Program. That's actually such a fantastic example of grassroots conservation in action.
Could you share a bit more about that? I think our listeners would love to hear about it.
So, it's really amazing actually. Local communities have been pooling resources to purchase and protect forest lands that were at risk of development. And what's really cool is that they're not just preserving the land, they're involving everyone in managing it.
I love that collaborative approach. It's showing that environmental stewardship doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing.
Exactly. And you know what's really exciting? These community forests are becoming outdoor classrooms, Local schools are using them for environmental education, and families are getting involved in trail maintenance and tree planting.
That reminds me of something I saw in Arizona recently, this incredible urban gardening project where they're turning unused lots into community gardens.
Oh man, those desert gardens are incredible, and they're doing it in a way that's so mindful of water conservation. They're using native plants, traditional irrigation methods. It's like this perfect blend of environmental stewardship and community building.
And the best part is that anyone can get involved in these kinds of initiatives, right?
Absolutely. You don't need to be an environmental scientist to make a difference. Sometimes it's as simple as joining a local conservation group or, starting a neighborhood composting program. Even small actions can create this amazing ripple effect.
I've noticed more young people getting really passionate about this stuff too.
Yeah, it's incredibly encouraging. We're seeing this whole new generation that understands that environmental stewardship isn't just about protecting nature. It's about protecting our communities and our future.
As I sit here this morning, I can't help but think about Yosemite's half dome catching those first rays of sunlight.
That's such a powerful image. There's really nothing quite like those moments when nature just takes your breath away.
And you don't even need to be in a national park to experience that kind of wonder. Sometimes it's just stepping outside and really noticing what's around you.
Yeah, like this morning I was watching a chickadee on my bird feeder, and for just a moment, everything else just fell away.
It's those little moments that remind us we're part of something bigger, isn't it?
Absolutely. Whether it's the towering redwoods of California or just the way frost patterns form on your window, nature has this amazing way of bringing us back to center.
I love how you put that. And speaking of frost patterns, have you noticed how the morning light catches them? It's like nature's own light show.
That's the thing about natural beauty. It's everywhere if we just take the time to look, from the Grand Canyon to the smallest dewdrop on a blade of grass.
Maybe that's our invitation to everyone listening, to pause just for a moment today and really see the natural world around them.
Even if it's just watching clouds move across the sky during your lunch break or feeling the wind on your face, these small moments can be incredibly grounding.
And that brings us to the end of today's Blue Mountain Morning. Marc, I'm really feeling that sense of peace we talked about.
Me too, Alex. And, speaking of peace, tomorrow we've got something really special planned about finding moments of calm in our busy lives.
Oh yeah, you're going to love this one, folks. We'll find tranquility in the most unexpected place.
Can't wait for that one. Until then, remember to take those little moments for yourself today.
Exactly, and thanks so much for starting your morning with us. We'll be right here tomorrow, same time, same peaceful energy.
Take care, everyone, and, don't forget to breathe.
See you tomorrow on Blue Mountain Morning.